Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Habits and Humor. I'm Susie B, and this is the show where you come to learn about simplifying progress, how to clarify exactly what you want, and how to make it happen. In my opinion, the biggest problem in the world right now is not what we are not understanding. It's not knowledge. I think we have so much access to knowledge and information, but that knowledge and information doesn't become useful to us unless we use it, unless we actually act on those things. That's the problem we're facing, is lack of action, lack of implementation. There's so many people out there serving and offering information and offering guidance on how you can improve your life, whether that be your faith, your finances, your business, your mental health, your spiritual health, your whatever you're working on, your physical health, any of those things. You have a ton of people out there who are offering you free information on how to go about doing that. There's thousands of diets, there's thousands of exercise programs, but unless you actually do those things, they don't mean anything to you. They're not worth anything to you unless you actually put them into your life. So that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to teach you how to tap into the resources you already have within you in order to make that stuff happen. Make what you want to create in the world, what you want to have as part of your life, actually exist today. That's the best part, is it's not about what's going to happen in 6 months. It's not about the results that you're going to see in a year from now. It's about what you can do today that you'll feel great about today and tomorrow and the next day. And then in 6 months, you can look back on right now and think, I am so dang glad that I started. So glad that I started. So let's talk about that piece right there for a moment. What holds us back from starting? A lot of us know exactly what we want. Maybe you have goals that you've written down from New Year's, or maybe you have just a list of things that you would like to get done. Knowing what we need to do isn't the problem. Most of us know exactly what we need to do. It's actually doing it. So what is the problem there? Why don't we just do it? What holds us back? If we know that we want that thing, if we know we want to lose weight or improve our nutrition or work on our mental health, if we know we need to do more self-care, if we know we need to work on a relationship in our life that's causing us some turmoil, if we know that we need to do those things, why don't we do them? That is the big question. Why can't we make it happen? So last week I told a story about me falling down the stairs at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. And I talked about the problem wasn't, so if you haven't heard the story, it was pouring rain and I was wearing flip-flops and I was carrying my daughter in a stroller and I fell down the stairs in front of thousands of people. But I didn't just fall once, I fell 3 times, you guys. Fell down, got up, fell down, got up, fell down. Oh man, so embarrassing. But so the problem of that whole issue, the problem in that funny story wasn't that I was wearing flip-flops. It wasn't that I was walking on marble stairs that were soaking wet from a hurricane. The problem was that there was too many stairs. If I had broken that up and I'd been able to just take on a little bit at a time, I would have only fallen once. It's okay to fall. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. But if you keep messing up and keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again on the same thing, that's where you start to doubt yourself. That's where you start to pull back and start to give up. So the problem isn't that I set myself up to be in a place. The problem wasn't the rain. The problem wasn't the shoes. The problem wasn't that I was carrying a stroller. The problem was the stairs themselves. So behind me, you can see these 2 images here that I talked about last week, the Lincoln Memorial and the Jefferson Memorial. And these 2 are incredibly different in that the number of stairs, they're very, very different based on just the architectural structure, in that the Jefferson Memorial has 3 stairs around the entire building, and the Lincoln Memorial has 89 stairs that you have to climb up in order to access the building. So Jefferson, you can access the entire backside of that entire building with just climbing just 3 steps. And Lincoln, on the other hand, you got to climb all the steps. So for me, I use steps and pillars as the visual in my business. I use these as how you can sort of see what you're working toward. I have a friend who runs a business called Vision with Imagination, Bertie LaRue, and he talks about how in order to improve your life, you have to know where you're going. And in order to know where you're going, you have to be able to see it. You have to be able to imagine it in your mind first. So that's what this building is. This monument behind me here, this Jefferson Memorial right here. This is what I want you to picture in your mind. If you're listening to this on the podcast, the audio version, picture in your mind the Jefferson Memorial. Go ahead, Google it, look at how many stairs there are in the backside of this building. There are only 3 steps leading up to tons and tons of beautiful, amazing, strong pillars. Those pillars in my business, I use those as your focus points, your big goals, your big areas that you would like to work on in your life. Those can be your physical health. Those can be graduating from college. Those can be a family relationship. Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's parenting. Maybe it is your business. Maybe it is finances. Whatever those big goals are in your life, those big aspects in your life that make up who you are, that make up the way that you live, the way you spend your time, those big goals are your pillars. So what we want to do is we want to build those pillars because those uphold who we are. The stronger our pillars, the stronger our lives, the better our lives. So we want to build those strong pillars, those big goals, so that we can have all those amazing, powerful structures in our lives. So how do we do that? How do we build those big pillars? With simple daily steps. I'm going to lean to the side here so you can see what I'm talking about with this image. Daily habits, those are going to be your steps. And your big pillar goals are the focus points that you're going to focus on as we're taking those daily steps. So we're going to focus on those pillars today. Today, we're going to talk about that step 1 of the 1, 2, 3 habits process. 1, 2, 3 habits is how you go from wanting something to having that thing. 1, 2, 3 habits is how you go from wanting to be someone to actually being that person. This is how you make your dreams reality. 1, 2, 3 habits. So what we're going to talk about today is 1, the very first step of this process. This is such a key part of the process because this is what holds back so many of us. So many of us have an idea. We see that vision, that imagination, that thing that we want in the future, those big pillar goals. We want that business. We want that beautiful marriage. We want those fantastic relationships with our kids. We want that financial freedom, what the really healthy, strong body, really healthy, strong mind. We want those things. Now, how do we make them happen? I'm going to say something to you, 2 phrases that I want you to think about. And I want you to just think about how these phrases make you feel. The first one is, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. I'm going to say that again. You can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. How does that make you feel? Some of you might be feeling excited by that. Some of you might be realizing like, oh, okay, well, now I can make this happen because I don't have to feel that overwhelm. Others of you are feeling pressure of this statement of, wait a minute, I can't do it all right now, but I have to do it all. I feel like I have to do all the things in order to get anywhere. So let me rephrase this question. Let me reframe this. Achieve less. Nope, sorry. Let me rephrase. Achieve more by doing less. Achieve more by doing less. Now that one's a little bit more like a breath of fresh air. Do you feel me on that? That one feels to me like it's possible. Okay, how do we achieve more by doing less? That seems very counterintuitive, seems very confusing. So now I'm going to explain this a little bit. Imagine that you are on a tennis court. I love to play tennis, and before you serve, you have to have 2 balls that you're going to choose from. And if you watch professional tennis players, or if you play tennis yourself, when you go to decide which 2 balls you want to use for your serve, they'll usually toss you 3 balls. If you're standing there at the baseline on that tennis court and you're ready to serve and you're getting in the mindset of, okay, you got to focus, And then you get one ball at a time, and then you get another ball, and then you get another ball. Those balls are easy to catch. They're easy to sift through and decide, okay, which one do I want to use, and which one do I want to put in my pocket, and then which one do I throw back? So you get 3 options, and then you keep 2 of them, and it's really easy to handle, really easy to manage. Now, let's play that again. But now you're getting all 3 balls at the same time. Let's say that 3 different people have a ball, and they throw them all to you at once. What do? You can't catch 3 balls at the same time, right? Most people, when they're thrown 3 balls at them, don't try to catch one. Most people go like this, and they try to not get hit by any of them. So what happens here is when you get too much at once, it all goes flat. It all is impossible. However, those same 3 things can happen easily, can be totally manageable if you take them one at a time. So if we're catching one ball and then another ball and then another ball, that's totally manageable, totally possible, and completely within our realm of capability. However, if they throw all 3 of us at, or all 3 of those balls at us at the same time, we're likely to just hide and duck and cover. We're likely to not try to do any of those things. That's the same thing with overwhelm with goal setting. So many people can't stick to their New Year's resolutions because they set themselves up like the Lincoln Memorial. They start their year with a list of 89 things that they want to accomplish. 89 steps and 36 pillars, and they're going to fix all the things. This is going to be the year. And they totally overwhelm themselves before they even start. That's like getting all the tennis balls. That's like someone throwing 89 tennis balls at you at the same time. Of course, you're not going to catch all those balls. Of course, you're not going to be able to manage that situation. However, if you were to catch those one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, you absolutely would be able to catch all 89 balls. But you have to do it one at a time. That is what I mean by achieve more by doing less. What we're going to do is we're going to write down that New Year's resolution list. We're going to write down all those things that you want. Get out a piece of paper right now and start writing. What are some things that you want? What are some big goals in your life? What are those big pillars that you want to be strong, remarkable, powerful parts of your life? Write all those things down. And then reread through that list and look it over. A couple of those things will relate to each other. There will be 2 or 3 things on there that all apply to your physical health or your mental health or your business or your family. There's going to be several things on that list that speak to you louder than the others. I want you to listen. This is your intuition talking to you. This is the universe or your higher power, all of those things talking to you to tell you what needs to be that first ball, that first priority. Now that you know what your first priority is, we're going to focus on that. And that is going to set us free from all the overwhelm. Yes, all of those other things will still be possible. All of those things will get their turn, but we're going to start with one so that we don't set ourselves up to fall down the stairs just to get back up, to fall back down, just to get back up, just to fall back down again. We're going to limit the amount that it requires so that we only have to work on one thing at a time. First of all, it makes it simpler. So much of life right now is so incredibly complicated where you have to take on everything at once. And then when you think about that, it overwhelms you and you don't even start. You've been there. I know you have, I have, we've all been there. We want something and then we figure out that the process to get there is huge, massive, and super complicated. So we're like, nope, I'm just not going to let that. I'm just not going to do that. We're going to avoid that whole process by starting one at a time. So pick that one pillar. What is that one thing that speaks louder to you than the other things? Choose that to be your focus. Physiologically speaking, when you choose one particular focus, that doesn't eliminate all the other things. It just sends a signal to your brain to go all in. You're allowing yourself to commit both consciously and subconsciously to that one task so that we can rise above mediocrity. This is how we overcome being okay in many things in our life and being exceptional at this one thing. We're going to be exceptional at this first. And over the next 2 episodes, I'm going to tell you exactly how to make this thing happen and then turn it into an automated system so that you don't have to think about it anymore and you can move on to that next ball. This is not going to be one of those sit in silence for a year or go into the mountains and discover yourself. You're still going to be able to do all the other things that you need to do. But by choosing one to really focus on, really hone in on, you're sending a message to your mind that this matters, that this is in fact important, and that this is something you want to make lasting change with. That's going to be the difference between long-term change and short-term change, is that you're able to focus on that one thing. Set yourself free from all that overwhelm, all that holds you back and weighs you down and makes you feel like it's too hard to begin because it's going to be a really difficult process. Simplify, clarify, and start moving today. That's what we're doing with 1, 2, 3 habits. That's what we're doing with this show. That's what you're going to start doing in your life, because you have beautiful ambitions. You have beautiful dreams. You have absolutely all the things you need to succeed. We're going to talk about how you were made for this process next week. But today we're focusing on number 1, and that is your 1 pillar focus. So choose that one thing. What are you going to work on starting today? I don't want you to start next week. I don't want you to start on Friday. I don't want you to start on Monday. Now, what can you do to work on that one thing today? Get this one big pillar focus in your mind. Write it down. Print a picture of it. Put it somewhere that you're going to see it every single day. Put it on your bathroom mirror on a sticky note. Make this a priority in your life. And over the next 2 weeks, I will teach you how to make it happen on a daily basis, and then how to automate that system so that it keeps working for you long after you've stopped thinking about it, which is the magic of this whole process, is turning short-term effort into long-term results. That's what we want. So again, we're focusing on 1 pillar at a time. This is going to prevent you from stopping before you start. This is going to prevent you from holding yourself back. This is going to make it possible for you to realize you can do this. Achieve more by doing less. It's not that those other things don't matter. It's not that you're not prioritizing all of those other things. It's just that we're catching one ball at a time. We're building 1 pillar at a time. We have that beautiful structure that we want. We have this beautiful vision of our lives, but we got to start somewhere. And rather than starting somewhere that's going to be incredibly difficult, let's start somewhere that's simple. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. Simple and easy are not the same thing. You're going to need to be committed. You're going to need to put in effort. You're going to need to put in time. And you're going to see how you have to use all the parts of your brain, your daily conscious choices and your subconscious habits, in order to make this change long term. And over the next 2 weeks, like I said before, I'm going to teach you how to do this, how to make that transition into long-term change. But today we need to remove all the overwhelm. This is why we fail right here, is because there's too much to do. There's too much that we try to take on. And if we try to catch all the balls at once, we don't usually end up catching one. We usually end up hiding and all the balls drop. I don't want you to feel that anymore. I want you to understand how powerful you are by focusing on one thing at a time, excelling exceptionally well in that thing, and then adding to that a second thing, and then adding to that a third thing, adding to that a fourth thing. We'll talk about tomorrow what the timeline is that you need to work on these things one at a time. We'll talk about how you are built for this process. You have everything you need to succeed already inside you. There's no product that you have to go out and buy. There's no setup that you have to have in order to make this happen. You have it already in you. All you have to do is learn how to harness your 2 superpowers together. That's step 2. 1, 2, 3 habits. Today we're talking about 1 pillar focus. Tomorrow we're going to talk about your 2 superpowers. Next week we're going to talk about your 2 superpowers. So stick with me over the next 2 weeks and we will make these things happen. But today we're mastering, we're harnessing, we're figuring out what our 1 pillar focus is. What I want you to do with this pillar is tell yourself, if I can handle, I can handle one thing. And since I can handle one thing, that means I don't have to give up. I don't have to push this back when times get tough and when things get difficult. This can be something I can depend on. The way we're going to do it with the 1, 2, 3 habit system is so that on your off days, on your sick days, on your days where you're out of town, these things will still happen for you. You can still accomplish your dreams, even in times that are not routine, even in times that are different, even in times that are tough. All of these things that hold us back from succeeding, we're going to wipe all of those away with this one pillar focus. I'll tell you another story about one pillar focus. So oftentimes we take on a lot of things based on previous experience. So when I was diagnosed with postpartum depression, a year and a half after my fourth child, I thought, okay, now I need to work on my mental health. My doctor told me that that was my number one top priority. And I said, I don't have time. And she looked at me and she said, you need to make time. You need to make time for this priority, because this one thing will lead you to greatness in all the other things that you need to do. This will make you a better mom. This will make you in better shape. This will make you a better businesswoman. This will make you a better wife. All of these things will improve by focusing on this one piece of your life. So I took this advice to heart and I started a blueprint, which is my goal tracking system, on my mental health. And I sat down and I set some goals for myself. And over the period of 60 days, a 2-month period, I mastered those goals. And I completely changed the way that I saw my mental health. It was absolutely incredible. Was it easy? No. Was it super overcomplicated? No. It was very, very simple, but it was still a lot of work. And I was willing to put in the work because I wanted this one pillar to be incredibly strong for me, for my family, and for all the parts of my life. So I dug in and I did this process with my mental health, and it totally, completely made me reconnect with myself. It absolutely gave me my motivation back that I had lost. It gave me my focus back. It gave me my happiness back. I felt like I hadn't been happy for a year, but I got it all back in just a short period of time. That was the first ball. That was the first tennis ball that I caught. So then I was ready to catch the next ball. And the next ball was my marriage. I wanted to really be an awesome wife and be really, really close with my husband. So I worked on that one for a couple of months. And that was the next ball that I caught. So then I was ready. I turned those into habits, and they started to happen on autopilot. So then I didn't have to think about it as much. And I was able to open myself up to catch another ball. The next ball that came was parenting. I really, really worked on my relationship with my kids and learned some incredible habits that I still use today. Then the next one was spirituality. Then the next one was our finances. Over the period of a year, I created somewhere between 15 and 50 habits for myself in all of these different areas of my life. And it absolutely made me feel on fire. I was so fired up. I was so pumped up, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go right into this and I'm just going to attack it and I'm going to hit it full head on. And so I sat down, and I remember vividly, it was a September, which is when my kids go back to school. And so I was ready to, get in that's like New Year's for me, new school year resolutions. So I sat down and I wrote out a spreadsheet. If you have read my book, Life Conscious, you've heard this story, and it's in here. It is 30 items long and covers 9 areas of my life. I took on 30 pillars that would cover I took on 9 pillars and made up 30 steps for myself that I was going to do every single day. If you've been listening to any part of this show, you know that was a terrible idea. So I sat down and I started this list, and I was on fire, and I was so ready and so motivated and so ready to go. 2 days in, I gave up. 2 days in, I was totally, completely burned out. You guys, you've done this before, I'm sure. I hope I'm not the only one that has felt this, where you feel that energy and you feel that fire and you get into it, and 2 days later you're like, yeah, this is too much for me. I can't handle it. So rather than pull back, rather than go back into that one pillar focus, oftentimes we just give up. I don't want you to do that. So don't overwhelm yourself. Don't start at the top of the Lincoln Memorial and trip down those stairs over and over and over again like I did. Focus on Jefferson right here. One pillar at a time, one focus at a time. I'm going to teach you over the next 2 weeks how to harness those your 2 superpowers and form 3 simple habits that are going to make that one pillar strong. I'm going to change my background really quick here so you can see something. So in my logos right here, you can see my logos. There are 3 steps and 1 pillar in every single one of these. You can see the pillar in the B there. Whoa, there it is right there in the B. You can see the pillar right there, pillar right there. There are always the 1, 2, 3 habits system. Everything that I teach, whether it's health, happiness, life coaching, or anything else that I'm talking about, is always 1, 2, 3. 1 pillar focus, 2 superpowers, and 3 daily habits. Over the next 2 weeks, we'll figure out what those next 2 steps are. But today I want you to pick your 1 pillar. For me, back when I was in that postpartum depression phase, my pillar needed to be mental health. Ask yourself this question. Which things on this list, whether you wrote it down or you're just thinking about it, which of those things on the list is going to make the biggest difference for you? Which one's going to provide the most happiness for you? And if that doesn't answer your question to tell you what pillar focus you should have, ask this question. Which of these things is going to create the biggest problem? Going to eliminate the happiness from my life? Going to cause the most stress if I don't take care of this one? For me, that was mental health back in when I was going through my postpartum depression. I needed that one focus. I needed that thing in order for all that other stuff to make me happy again. You have one thing. I know you do. You have one thing that you absolutely can work on right now. First thing, you will have time for all of that other stuff. But if you commit yourself to focusing on this one pillar first, I'm not saying ever, I'm saying first. This needs to be the first one that we work on. 3 steps, 2 superpowers, 1 focus. 1, 2, 3. Choose your one today. Figure out what that is, write it down, put it somewhere that you'll see it. And then over the next 2 weeks, I'll teach you how to make that thing happen on a daily basis until it becomes automated, until it becomes an automatic portion of your life. If you don't want to wait for the next 2 weeks, then reach out to me on the Habits and Humor podcast Facebook group or at Susie B Life, anywhere on social media. Send me a message and we'll get you in our programming today so that you can do this at a way faster rate. I'm going to trickle this information out over the podcast here. And obviously, if you come live to the show every week, you can get that coaching and help along the way. But if you really want to take this to the next level, if you want the accountability, if you want the coaching, if you want the programming, if you want it done at the fastest rate possible in the simplest form with guaranteed results, get in here. Go to livelifeconscious.com and click on coaching at the top of the page. There's 2 options for you. If you're working on health habits, definitely get into the Healthy and Happy program. If you're working on other habits, definitely get into the 3 Habits Mastermind. Those are your 2 options right now. Listen to yourself, listen to your higher power, listen to the universe. What are you feeling called to work on today? What is that 1 pillar focus? And if you feel like you want to sift over this over the next 2 weeks with us, awesome. Tune in next week. If this is resonating with you and you feel like you know some people that this would help, send them the link, get them in here. Let's keep going on this program. But if you really, really want to take it to the next level, if you want to accelerate the pace at which you do all of these things, definitely get into the Healthy and Happy or the 3 Habits, or the 3 Essential Habits Mastermind. Those are going to be your fastest, most guaranteed options because you have accountability and coaching and support and a whole curriculum every step of the way. So get in here, let's do this and take care of yourself. Listen to you. You are absolutely a priority. If you're a mom, if you are a working woman, if you are a family person, you have other priorities that pull on your time. And sometimes we get distracted. Sometimes we get spread really thin. You have to prioritize yourself because once you fill your cup, you can serve from the excess. We need to be constantly filling ourselves so that we can serve the others around us at a higher level. You can do this. I absolutely believe in you, and I'm so glad that you're here, taking care of yourself, prioritizing yourself. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week when we talk about part number 2 of the 1, 2, 3 habits system, which is your 2 superpowers. Thanks for being here, you guys. Have a wonderful week.